Okay, is this working? Let's see. So, I want to talk about Wrinkly Kong. Wrinkly Kong, uh, she lives in a cave in Donkey Kong Country 3. And she is the only animal who lives in a cave apart from the banana birds. The banana birds don't exactly live in the caves, they're trapped in the caves, you could say. But they're in caves, and they're in caves that are similar in design to Wrinkly's cave. They have this sort of flashing light coming in, out from the inside. And Wrinkly Kong lives in this cave. It's a strange place to live in a game where everyone else lives in a hut. All the bears live in huts, I think. Funky Kong has a hut, a cabin. So everyone lives in a building except for Wrinkly, who lives in a cave. A cave is like a natural building. It's a building that comes out straight from the earth. It's made in the earth instead of made of wood or all the other materials that the other cabins are made of. And and so it's funny because it's not exactly a place for a Kong to live. It is, in a way, because it would make sense, I suppose, for a primate to live in a cave. But maybe it doesn't actually make sense. But what I mean is that it makes more sense for a primate to live in a cave than for a primate to build its own hut, right? So it's more realistic than the hut Kongs and the hut bears. On the other hand, from my poor knowledge of how nature operates, I think that bears are more likely to live in caves, right? Or at least to like hibernate in them. Isn't that true? I imagine bears living in caves more than I imagine monkeys living in caves. And so, it's interesting because this is a game that's so filled with bears all the time. Bears, 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 bears. But none of them live in a cave. And yet there are caves in this game. This game is filled with caves. But they're all filled with banana birds and Wrinkly, the only two people who live in caves. And they're the only two creatures who, in the end, kind of combine their living places. They meet. Because when the banana birds are rescued from one cave, they all join in Wrinkly's cave. Like Wrinkly's cave acts as sort of a central hub where all of the different banana birds can migrate to and stay. So it's no coincidence then, apparently, that Wrinkly Kong and the banana birds share the same type of cave. There seems to be a resonance between them. And so that's what we've got to work with at the moment, right? There seems to be a resonance between them. Of course, on the other hand, Wrinkly Kong is the sort of the she is a grandmother figure archetype in this game because she will sort of look after you and care after you. There's that sort of caring aspect to her in this game. She's the one who makes sure that your game is saved. But beyond all that, I suppose what I mean is that she's like some sort of a higher authority, uh, maternal figure kind of thing, right? And So I suppose what I mean is that there are these weird kind of themes of maternal care, with Dixie Kong caring for Kitty Kong, right? Which that's interesting already on the beginning, because it's, why is Dixie Kong caring for Kitty Kong, right? Um, clearly it seems to have something to do with the fact that that she's the female character. So she gets sort of appointed that role by the game. I think. I think you could read it that way in some way. That this is the game where Dixie Kong is babysitting Kitty Kong. That's sort of the idea. I think she's babysitting Kitty Kong because the image that we have of who babysits who is that women babysit babies, or that women take care of babies. That's the idea that we have, right? So culturally, there's that sort of frame, right? It's almost as if the game is rejecting the idea that Diddy Kong could be caring for Kitty. If the whole game were... Sorry, Kitty Kong? Diddy. Did I say Diddy? Diddy Kong. If Diddy Kong were the protagonist of Donkey Kong Country 3 and Diddy Kong were protecting and caring for Kitty Kong as an older brother or something, I don't think... Right? It doesn't... Right, that's what I mean. It would only, I think, be integrated into the game if it were within a older brother narrative or something, but not in a caring, like nurturing, loving relationship. There would be some sort of a cool distance, like, you know, we're both guys, and we both care for each other. It just happens that you're like tiny and I'm a little older, or that, you know, I'm not so tiny. So I feel like that's what the game is doing. It's saying it has to be Dixie. You know, it's like the game says, no, okay, we need a structure in which a baby is cared for and looked after. So we need a female figure to fill that role. And Dixie Kong ends up being that. And then, right, what's interesting is that kind of motherly position gets fragmented throughout the game into all sorts of different positions, it seems. Because then the whole game is about the banana bird mother looking after her children. That's what the game is at a meta-narrative level. It's the banana bird has lost her children and she's looking for them and she wants you to recover them, and then she wants to look after them. So she's a mother figure, right, who wants to look after her children. That's the banana bird. And then we get Wrinkly Kong as the sort of save game position, which she also fulfills in a sort of caring sort of way, because, okay, let's see if I can argue for this. It's because her cave is a warm, comfortable place. She's got her, like, she's sitting on her couch and the TV is on. I think she has like a hot drink somewhere, or it looks like a nice warm place. And the music is appealing as well. There's a sort of calm, nice little haven that you can enter. And it evokes just typical images or ideas of visiting your grandmother, grandparents' house, grandmother's cooking, grandmother's caring, grandmother's sort of warm affection, warm house. There's that feeling, I think. which is funny because it's not the vibe that she had in Donkey Kong Country 2, I think. It's like she's older in this game. She's more of an old woman archetype. It's like, and sometimes she falls asleep on the couch. Like, there's a sense of like an old granny. Uh, and she says, come in, and she's very welcoming, and there's that kind of thing. Whereas in Donkey Kong Country 2, she was a teacher, school teacher, and so it was more, the music was a little sort of faster. It's more sort of uh, snappy, like um, we've come here to learn. You know, there's a slight uh, urgency and expectation of like things being done right. You've come here to answer my quiz. I have a quiz for you, and you will study hard and learn my quiz, or come here and save the game. There's a slight more like a sort of a sense of I don't know what the word is, but school. It's school stuff. It's urgency. It's not a relaxing place. It's a pleasant place. It's a nice place. The music's nice. It's a smiley kind of place. It's nice. The sun is shining. I personally love that school backdrop, that school setting. But it's still it's not pure homey leisure. You know, the way Donkey Kong Country 3 is. It also implies that in Donkey Kong Country 2, it implies that saving the game means learning knowledge. That's an interesting thing about that game. It's like it conflates the the idea of progress as saving information, right? It's as if to save the game means to write down everything you've done so far or something like that. I think that's what's being implied by the fact that it's a school. So saving the game is that. Uh, in you in Donkey Kong Country 3, it's again more homey. Saving the game is something that she does for you. Like, I think you have to save the game in Donkey Kong Country 2. The implication is that you are the school, the student at that school, so you need to make the effort, you need to make an effort to save the game. And she's there as the teacher to instruct you. But now, she just, she makes the effort of saving the game for you. She's caring for you. It's a nice, safe place. You go there, you're cared for. So I think that's sort of going on. And then she cares for the banana birds. The banana birds keep her company, and she offers them a home. She cares for them. So she ends up becoming like a sort of mother to the banana birds as well. Uh, okay. It's as if all of this stuff is going on in this game, Donkey Kong Country 3, which places the female characters in positions of care, of like almost like extreme care, sort of a devotional sort of care. Uh, mm, I wonder why that's happening, like in this game, and what does it mean? Like beyond the fact that this was happening at all levels, right? In art at that time, and sort of to some extent still is, right? But was probably more intense in the 90s, that any female role would be placed in these sorts of positions. But still, as always with games, it feels as if there's something mystical going on beyond that. It's almost like there's that level of stuff, and then there's like a sort of weird mystical underbelly, because the fact that all these different mother figures are almost woven one into the other, like a matryoshka, like those sort of dolls where you have the big doll, the small doll. It's like there's the Queen Banana Bird as this macro mother, and then like Wrinkly Kong, and then Wrinkly Kong is caring for Dixie, and Dixie is caring for Kitty Kong. Kitty Kong is the child. There's that, which gives it a strange spiritual dimension, just by the shifting of layers. There's like different layers of caregiving. There's different layers of maternal caregiving. Highlighted by literally a god, by the Queen Banana Bird being like God, caring for everyone below. There's different layers of care. There's different layers of love. You could maybe, right? Right. And then there's the other sort of strange spiritual aspect to this, I suppose, which is that there is also the idea, this is really interesting, of caring for children who are not your own, or caring for children who have not directly come from you. They're not like children. You don't know exactly whose children they are. Like, that has a spiritual dimension to it, because it evokes to me the idea of archetypes of spiritual birth and stuff like that, right? Obviously it happens in Christianity, Christ being cared for by Mary, but Mary hasn't it isn't literally her child, in a sort of giving birth kind of way, and right, it doesn't mean that you have to give birth to someone for them to be your child. It's just that it evokes this idea mythologically, I suppose. Mythologically, it serves a purpose, I think, to tell the story of caring for someone who is a child of the unknown or something. Kitty Kong, whose child is Kitty Kong? You don't really know. Funky says something like he's his nephew or something. You don't know exactly who he is, but throughout the game he adopts a sort of childlike relationship to Dixie, it feels. When you rest this in conjunction with all of the other motherly kind of roles in the game, it makes it stronger, I think, too. Because you could say, oh, but Dixie is just whoever. She's Funky Kong's friend, or she's Funky Kong's nephew too, and she's caring for some distant relative's baby, Kitty Kong or something. Sure, you could come up with that sort of thing, but it's more the idea, the image of a mother caring for a child, which resonates, I think, throughout the game in different ways. And of course, at different levels. So it operates symbolically. It's not exactly like who is Kitty Kong and who's Dixie Kong and what's their relationship. It's more the image of a female caring presence, and in this case, a male cared for presence, right? That sort of relationship. Then Wrinkly Kong has the same kind of deal going on, which is that she cares for all of the banana birds. And you don't know who the banana birds are. I mean, she doesn't. Like, the banana birds are the children of the banana queen, but Wrinkly is housing them, is caring for them. So they kind of become also child figures to her, pets, sort of beings that are protected by her in a motherly sort of way. I don't know why the game is doing this, why it's showing all these images of female characters caring for people who are not their own children, as established by the plot, basically. That's sort of what I mean. And that's why it gives me a spiritual dimension to it, because I think it happens in Buddhism as well, that there are at least like different kinds of stories, I think, about the Buddha, that he was born after his mother had a dream of a white elephant or something like that. So which kind of gives the idea that the child came through the dream world or something. There's something about the child that its origin is more spiritual than it may than one may think, right? That's why I mean that the child's origin is mysterious. It's coming from a place of mystery. That is to say, its causes are not clear causes. You can't say the child was caused by this event, which was caused by this event, and these are the chain of events that led to Kitty Kong appearing. No, it's like there is no clear chain of causality. You don't quite know why Kitty Kong is here or who he is. You don't quite know why these spiritual creatures in stories, why the spiritual babies in religions like Christ, like the Buddha, why do they come from? Why do they come from spirit, or why do they? Like the chain of causation is not defined, and that's what I mean by mystery. It's a mystery. It's a mystery where how these children have come into existence. And then you have this whole thing with caves, right? Like, why is all this happening inside of caves? What is a cave? I mean, why is it something that's in the earth? Basically, you could say. Like Wrinkly Kong is in the earth. There's another cave in the Donkey Kong series that is the cave that appears in the very first game. in the very first game, your banana stash is in a Donkey Kong's banana stash is in a cave, and then the banana birds appear in a cave. They don't just appear in individual caves. I mean that they end up like uniting in a cave. So by the end of the game, the game ends, you could say, with a cave filled with banana birds, and it begins with a cave filled with bananas. So there's perhaps some sort of a link between them too. It's like the game begins with a cave filled with bananas. The banana stash is emptied from that cave. All the bananas fly out, and it's catastrophic. Now Donkey Kong needs to go and look for those bananas. Then the thing sort of evolves, and by the end of the game, you get an empty cave, Wrinkly's cave, that gradually gets filled with bananas. But this time it's spiritual bananas. This time it's bananas that have bloomed and become birds. It's like butterflies that have broken out of their shells. But it still is a cave filled with bananas. It's just that these bananas fly away. They fill the cave and then they fly away. They fly away to heaven. And in heaven they meet their mother again. Reunite with her, and then she can descend back down. There's something about that, I think, that has the key. Because what's happening in that final scene is that Queen Banana Bird, who is trapped, gets liberated by her own children. It's her children who liberate her. Because the wall that traps her, the seal in that wall, can only be broken by the banana birds. So the banana birds save their own mother. It's almost as if what's happening and what's being said is that it's the children who save or care for the mother in this instance. In this instance, it's the mother who is cared for by the children. And that kind of, it breaks a certain loop. And it instills a new order, you could say, a new sort of possibility, where before care had only been provided from the mother down into the children. Now the children provide care up into the mother. It's interesting too if you read it as this spiritual aspect of Queen Banana Bird being God or a divine figure, right? The mother is God. So there's this idea that care is being provided from God downwards to the children of God, right? So everyone that's below Queen Banana Bird is being embraced by that energy, by all that care and love. But it's almost as if what it's saying is, yes, but the children must save God. The children must love God. Like, Queen Banana Bird is trapped unless her children sing a song that saves her. And that I think then breaks the loop. It unites both ends, right? Above and below get united. Before it was just above rained love on below. Now below also brings love up, and there's some sort of a meeting of forces between those 2 points, which allows for something to happen. And this thing that happens is the end of the game, which is some sort of like a liberation from evil or something, is how it's represented, right? Some sort of a liberation from evil, in which King K. Rool becomes a baby again. King K. Rool, King K. Rool becomes a baby again. Yeah, so weird. I don't know. It's a strange game. It's a really strange game, I think. And it's a strange saga, too. Because I think this game works within a saga, it works within the whole trilogy. Mm. Yeah, I don't know. Want to keep on exploring it and thinking about it. So thanks. Um, yeah. Okay.